This episode is sponsored by Sir Lancelot LLC, also known as SLA Capital, which, if you didn't know, is Dan and I's private lending company. So yes, we are sponsoring our own show, but what you're going to do about it? It is our private lending company that offers hard money and DSCR loans to real estate investors of all types. So you can be a new investor, an experienced investor. You can be buying flips. You can be buying rentals, whatever. We can do everything. And not only that, but the rates that we offer are just as competitive, if not cheaper, than pretty much every other company out there. So whatever big company you've been working with, bring us their term sheets and I guarantee you that we can probably beat it. We have the same connections they do. We just don't have all the overhead and middlemen. So if you want to come and check us out, go to slacapital.com/keys and I will know that you came from the show. And by seeing that you came from here, when you get to closing, you will save $500 on your first loan with us. So slacapital.com/keys, we would love to fund your next deal. If you are somebody that is trying to get started, or you want to learn, or you don't have like money to kind of spend on your own stuff, the best way to get started is to go and work for somebody else that's like doing what you want to do.
One bit, like they don't exist for people like us, even if they do exist. I'm not saying that things didn't happen. Do you think he just kept a file of this stuff?
No. So what's going to happen is they're going to decide that they're a high security risk. And so they're going to send out 33,000 or whatever pages, files that are all just going to be like white lined over. So it's nothing.
Well, for sure.
That
would happen. That would
It
happen.
would be like the ultimate troll situation.
But here's the thing. They've already done that once, but I will continue to stand my ground of like, we've known about the whole Epstein thing for a long time. Biden had 4 years to release them. And you don't think that no matter what, if they could have released them, they would have released them. There's no legal thing. Shit leaks from the government all the time. That's not supposed to leak. If they had something that would have put a cross, like a dagger through Trump, they would have done it.
And I think that's what makes it so interesting to everybody, Dan. At its core, that's why it's so interesting.
And that's why, because everybody's like, where's it at, dog? It's not coming. You're never going to get satisfied.
They're still typing them up. They're still making them up.
They're still adding to them, dude.
Yeah.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Collecting Keys podcast. I am Mike DeHaan here with my co-host Dan Austin and Dylan Cook. And just to top off that part of the show on the Epstein files, now that you say that, Dylan is still typing it up. I do now have this visual of you have like Trump and like Mike Johnson and all like the sort of reps, whoever, Pam Bondi, sitting on ChatGPT, trying to figure out how to massage it so that it creates files that are like believable. But it's like, write a draft of the Epstein files that includes Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And exactly. I did it. And it's just like,
they're like, no, that one's too believable. Let's make this a little bit crazier.
And ChatGPT is like, what a brilliant idea. Why don't we go and add some more toxicity into the world? You know, just really reinforces whatever you're trying to do. God, that's probably exactly what they're doing.
We're never going to be satisfied. This is an unsatisfiable situation. The American people can't be satisfied with this, no matter what. Because even here, we're at a point in time, if you release the files and Trump is just like all over them, been diddling little kids, and it's just blatantly obvious, half the country's still going to be like, that's bullshit. That's
totally,
bullshit.
dude. Of course.
And if he's not in it, other half of the country is going to be like, that's bullshit. There's no way that's possible. Mm-hmm. He definitely was dealing with kids. Like, so we can't believe anything.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable situation.
You know, at this point, have you ever seen Donald Trump in person?
Me?
Yeah.
No, but he seems like a character.
No, so I haven't either. I'm assuming Dylan hasn't. How do we know that he is an AI at this point?
Oh, you know how we do know? Who did we have on the podcast that said that he was it Donald Trump that signed his wife's boobs?
Well, so that was Ryan, who used to work for us, because when Trump had that incident where he went into that pizza place and ordered a shit ton of pizzas and left, that was at one of our old employees' wife's dad's, so I guess father-in-law's restaurants in the Midwest. Yeah. And his wife was all over Twitter being called a trashy whore because Trump signed her breasts. But
that's classic president.
Totally.
Kissing babies and signing titties.
Oh my God, dude.
Oh man. Good times.
Well, anyways, but with all those sort of things, I do always, like, with the way the government stuff works, I always try to figure out what they're really trying to distract with all those sort of things. And I would say a lot of stuff, I think that they've been trying to distract away from like kind of the Epstein situation because of like with other random things they've been focusing on. That's why you keep seeing Trump like call reporters little piggy and doing different things like that. It's purely just to try and like draw attention elsewhere. But economically, if you look at like the big picture, it's been a pretty rough November. I saw this post and it was saying that November is looking to be the worst month in the stock market, I think since 2008. I think it was like straight up month, or might have been November. I have to spot check that. A lot of stuff's down. You're seeing a lot of these big billionaires cash in on a lot of their stocks. I saw what's his name, Palantir boy. I know you know his name, Dylan. Peter Thiel.
Peter Thiel.
Was cashing in a shit ton of his Palantir stocks, all of his NVIDIA stocks. Michael Burry of Big Short fame completely shut down his hedge fund.
Yeah.
Right.
He's been losing money for a while.
He's been losing money for a while, because it just doesn't make sense because he's everything's going down guy.
When he said he shut down his fund, he did not his Bitcoin fund.
Michael Burry doesn't have a Bitcoin fund.
Oh, never mind. That's a different guy. Never mind.
Yeah.
Who's the guy with the Bitcoin?
Are you talking about like Michael Saylor with the
Michael Saylor? That's what I was thinking.
They've lost a lot of money lately, but they didn't.
No, dude, it's all paper money.
No, they actually have lost zero money because Bitcoin stays the same, Dylan. It's immutable, and that is the real value.
Let's just go on to something else.
Man, get you triggered. That's funny.
Yeah, how is that? Should we be buying Bitcoin? That was my first question.
I mean, I am.
This is how stupid I am. This is how bad I am. So I've been buying a little bit here and there. Like I continue, like I bought $1,000 here, $1,000 there, and I accidentally bought $1,000 of Ethereum. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just keep it. It's just like, whoops.
Well, I mean, today is the lowest. It's erased all 2025 year-to-date gains as of today.
This is great, dude.
Yeah. So I mean, I would be a buyer at these levels. Yeah.
Yeah. But overall, just like things are looking generally poorly. And then on top of that,
Mike, not to cut you off, do you see the BIS is not going to report the jobs data?
How can they not report stuff?
Exactly.
I feel like they should not be allowed to not report
because they already said they weren't going to be able to, right? Because of the government shutdown.
Because of the shutdown, but still, that they adjust for all that stuff anyway. It's not like it's going to change a month over month that much. Like you would still know.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Well, the jobs thing is always tricky too. And so we're hiring for a bunch of roles in the in our lending business right now. And my current sort of conspiracy, I guess, I don't know if that's the right word. One of the reasons that like people feel like the job market sucks, when honestly it doesn't. Like there's a lot of people that are hiring. There's people that want to work. It's that the hiring process that we've all become sort of like accustomed to going through Indeed, LinkedIn, whatever, is just generally terrible. And
you're trying to cold apply for a job, you're kind of effed, and it feels like if you're trying to cold hire for a job, you're kind of effed.
Dude, it sucks. Like it's such a shitty process. It's very expensive for the employer, especially if you're a small employer, to be going on and like paying the insane fees that some of these companies want. And like the way that they do it is stupid too. So like Indeed, as a good example, is they'll basically make you pay per accepted resume. And so what they do is you go and you post your job. And so basically they are incentivized to have you accept all these resumes. But they know that people aren't going to do that. They're busy, whatever. So what they do is they send you 400 applicants. And then they basically go, if you don't accept these within 24 hours, we'll just assume that you accept them. We'll just bill your credit card $6,000. And so what do? You go on, you're like, fuck, I got an hour before I want to go to bed because I have a small business. I've been working for 18 hours today. And so you go and you select all and you delete them. So you don't even review them, right? It's stupid. Yeah. And then on LinkedIn, they basically make you promoted on a daily basis. And that's where I've been recruiting for these roles. And I think that I've discovered that basically until you spend at minimum $100, they don't actually show your job to anybody, right? Because I had 0 applicants, both of our listings cross $100, and all of a sudden people start pouring in. But to make matters worse, they have this AI platform that you have no say in. You don't get to tell it what to AI for. Like say, just read your job description. And what it does is it looks at all of the job applicants and it filters them. Right. And it will basically say like, these are not good fits. And it doesn't actually show you the quote unquote bad fits unless you click through like 7 windows to find it. And then when you find them, wouldn't you believe it? A lot of those poor fits were actually great fits. And this is really me getting in the weeds. I noticed the ones that it tends to say are good fits are minorities, people of color, regardless of their experience level. Okay. And if there's like someone that's like a white individual that has 20 years of experience, literally in the field that I'm looking for, it will find a reason to put them in like the not a good fit category. It's really fucking weird. And then I will have like all these people of color that like have kind of similar experience, but not actually relevant, that pop up in the highly qualified thing. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Have no idea either. They're
the
just
applicants,
I'm out there. I'm trying to get a job.
Totally. Yeah. And they're just going, they'll put out 80 applications. Half of them like just go into the nether. Of the other ones, they go end up in somebody's inbox. They don't get reviewed because that person is under a time crunch to trying to not have to pay for them before they get to review them. And then the rest of them, they are being accidentally discriminated or like intentionally, artificially discriminated against by AI because it is pushing them into a bucket where no one will ever see them. It's such a broken system, dude. It's such a fucking nightmare. And so like they say the job reports are bad, but are they when no one can actually get seen to get hired and the employers can't fucking find anybody? Doesn't make any sense. It's so stupid.
Or the employer's not getting they're not getting the person that they would really want, you know, like
no, they don't.
So, and just to finish up my statement, so I feel like I need to say this. I'm not saying there's any problem with the recommended people being people of color. It's the fact that they are lesser qualified people. And I just happen to notice this being a recurring pattern. Right. And then when I go and I look into the unsuggested people, the ones that are unqualified, I noticed that there is a similar pattern of the demographic of who those people are. And their resumes will literally be so one-to-one what I'm looking for, where they like worked for our competitors doing the exact job that we're looking for. And it will say that that person wasn't qualified for the position.
It's wild.
It doesn't make any sense. But then someone that was like a credit analyst at a fucking like startup somewhere that is not even closely related to private lending in any way is somehow highly qualified. And I don't know why.
Well, I do think your remedy to this was what you just posted something on your own website, right?
Correct.
And this like did organic outreach to set up these platforms.
Correct. Yeah. So what I did what all millennials do, baby boomers, I guess. I went and I bitched on Facebook how much it sucks. And people made a suggestion to go and post the listings on our own website. And I did that. And I have found that people that are more intentional about basically going around the whole process and applying that way do tend to be higher quality, which makes sense.
I don't know how you even, just from the applicant side of things, how you actually can get a job. Because all the people I know that have jobs that are decently high paying at decently large companies, you know, the Microsofts, the Googles, Amazons, all those like big companies you hear about, like the only way they got a job was talking to someone that worked there.
100%.
So like, there's no way you could even cold apply to those jobs on their website. So like the job market, you know, I mean, they'll fire thousands of people at a time, any given time. You know, Microsoft might have 8,000 layoffs, and people are like, oh, they're laying off 8,000 people, but they're hiring 8,000 too at the same time. They're just shifting it around. I don't know how you get those jobs without knowing somebody.
Connections. You get recruited through college, right? Like that's the most common way to do it. It's like the closest example I have to that is when I got my job at Boeing. Okay. I found out after, so I applied to that cold and I somehow got in there and people were marveled by that. I think it was very explicitly just because I had an electrical engineering degree at a time when there was nobody with electrical engineering degrees. And that was specifically what they wanted. So like my job told me, my boss told me afterwards that there was 85 applicants for that job and they hired 2 people. Okay. And they did like 30 something interviews. And for some reason they picked me, who turned out to be the worst Boeing employee ever. So jokes on them. But like the point is like, that's that's like back 10 years ago now. Now there's 3, 4, 5 times more people that are applying for that same role in a more automated process, right? I bet you for that same position now, there would be 600 people that apply, you know, and they probably don't interview any of them because their internal AI that they built goes, not disqualified.
Now they're using Microsoft Copilot, the worst AI ever, to help review their applications because that's all that their corporate security department will let them use.
Yeah.
Well, if you're listening to this podcast, you shouldn't even be looking for jobs. You should be your own boss. Right?
No, you should come work for me. Come work for me or Dylan. Or what you should do, that you say that, Dylan. So I agree with that fundamentally. But I will say that if you are somebody that is trying to get started, or you want to learn, or you don't have like money to kind of spend on your own stuff, the best way to get started is to go and work for somebody else that's like doing what you want to do. And I think that's one of the most toxic things. There's actually a great segue about this current movement of people that want to like buy businesses and do different stuff is they don't really know what that means and the amount of risk that's associated with it. So what you end up having is you have these people that are unhappy, unemployed. Maybe they did a quasi mini retirement. I quit my job, and all of a sudden they decide that they're going to go and buy a painting business, or they're going to buy a plumbing business, or they're going to fucking do something like a medi spa, right? When they have zero experience in that industry, they've never worked in one. Maybe they were a client of one time. Sure, I had my toilet fixed. I know how to run a plumbing company now, right? And what they do is they go and they take on this asymmetrical debt that is very, very dangerous. And they think that they're going to be able to figure it out. When realistically, what you should do if you want to own a plumbing business, why don't you go it sounds super lame because it would be, you go work at a plumbing company for a year and a half, learn how the business actually works. Then you can try to buy one. So at least you will know what the inner workings look like at a basic fundamental level.
Sounds boring. I don't want to work as a plumber.
I know. No, well, you don't have to be a plumber, Dan. You have a license for that. You go be like an admin. You could go work in the billing department.
That would get rid of 90% of the people that try to do this anyway and shouldn't. So
of course,
good advice.
Weed them out a little bit.
Well, and something that is actually really funny, if you think about this, big pictures, there's been all this flack against boomers about how they're kind of hoarding wealth in their houses. And they want too much. The houses are overinflated, all this sort of stuff. What I think is extra hilarious with this is if you look at how so many of these business acquisitions are going on that you're seeing in this Cody Sanchez small business buying space, and a lot of people that are failing at it, which we know quite a few people that have failed massively, gotten into major debt, filed bankruptcy, all sorts of things. Yeah. They're buying these companies from the baby boomer who knows their company's fucking bullshit. And they have some young whippersnapper that comes on.
Here's what I think it is. I think people are stupid. I think they're good businesses for an owner operator that worked for 40 years and built it.
For sure. And there's a lot of tribal knowledge. Yeah.
Generally speaking, the owner that's selling it is the key player. And when they're gone, all their relationships go with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
And I think what also happens is they're like, yeah, dude, I make $300,000 a year here. I have zero debt because I built it without debt, because that was a very common way to build a small business. People weren't getting SBA loans. These people go sign up for this SBA loan that rapes them. They put a second position on their home that their kids, they're trying to raise their kids in. They go and they have to pay 10, 11% debt on this thing with a very short amortization period. And so that $300K in profits is actually more like $100K if they're lucky after they're paying debt service. And then they have a dip in sales when homeboy leaves because nobody wants to talk to your dumbass because you bought this business because you're a numbers guy.
Yeah,
I think that's more what it is. And I think the challenge with it is you have these businesses and the guys and gals that own them that tend to be baby boomers or at retirement age. They're looking at it and they're like, why would I sell this business for anything less? Because I'll just own it for another year. Because generally for them, it's no work, right? I'll just own it for another year and make up that difference. And I'll just own it for 3 years and make up, because they're only trying to sell these for 1 to 2 to 3 million. But they're like, well, if I can't get that, why would I sell it for something that makes sense for you? And then it either doesn't happen or the deal's really bad for the purchaser. Because also they don't have 40 years of freaking experience in installing gutters on people's houses.
Yeah, for sure.
We both know several people this has happened to, but I was literally at a Go Abundance event yesterday where a dude is a regional sales director, makes 175 to 200K a year, and he bought a behavioral health company, right? But 350K down, had an SBA loan. And it turns out that insurance is a big part of how you get compensated in behavioral health. Well, I guess the previous seller, when he sold, his person with the license also left. Nice. So he hired somebody else to do the licensing. And they're like, hey, this previous person, the way that they were billing is illegal. And they overflated their revenues by about 3x.
3x?
3x.
Holy shit.
So it went from a company that was making $500K a year to almost losing $500K a year.
That sucks. And how do you do that without knowing that? Or how do you do your due diligence on it?
There was a lot of actually discussion around that. There was a lawyer there where you can get, I didn't know this, you can get, it's forensic accounting of someone who's in that space, eventually. Yeah. It's you should have hired someone to be who else is in behavioral health?
You should have hired
if this is legit or not, right? Instead of just taking their word for it.
Yeah.
But I mean, this guy, to the point, he went from, multi-figure 7 net worth to filing bankruptcy, and he's fucked. He's on the limb for SBA loans. He's got a second position on, kind of like you just said. He's got kids. He's got a wife, all from one decision.
Yeah, and those SBA loans, man, they don't go away. Those don't go away in death either.
Yeah.
So if he doesn't figure out how to pay that off, his kids get to deal with that.
Yeah. So I mean, he's going after the seller or some like litigation to hope he gets some money, but like, I don't know if how viable that is, right? Like,
yeah. But you know that, and the thing that's kind of what I was going to before with this is like, so there's like the house hoarding the wealth thing. I feel like this is another sort of pattern of the wealth being extracted from kind of like the unknowing, right? Where there's this trend that they're able to capitalize on because they have these businesses because they kind of like put in the work or they're in the right place at the right time. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just like there's this recurring issue that you see where exactly like you said, Dan, you have the 40-year veteran that's selling their company to the 25-year-old kid from Google that joined a mastermind or, you know, follows Cody Sanchez on Instagram and thinks they can go in and repeat the same thing. And the business seller is just shameless on what they're going to charge for it. Because
what else would you do though?
Right? Absolutely, dude. Totally. But that's not, I'm not saying that that's like a problem per se. I would say it just shows the difference in, I want to say like discipline or like patience across the generations, because like they know full well what it took to build that. And so they're going to, you know, they have no shame in basically sort of punishing the younger folks for that. And
it's
so
like, hey, you got to work for it, right? That's their mentality.
Totally.
Probably.
So like I think about like that. There's this manufacturing company here in Spokane, Dillon. They manufacture like, was it raw metals, Dan? Like all kinds of stuff. We went and met with those guys.
Oh yeah, they're a fabricator, a steel fabricator.
They're steel fabricator, and like these guys, they're in Deer Park, Washington, and they do like I'm sure that you've probably seen something they've manufactured. Have you ever been in like any hotel, like anywhere in the world? They're sending shit to like Dubai, like Hawaii, like they work with like the Marriott and all sorts of stuff to do all these really specific, complicated metal things. What was the guy saying? They were one of like the largest importers in the United States of whatever they were using.
Whatever raw material they need.
Yeah.
Right,
but what's fun? So Dan and I went up to meet with these guys, and it was funny. So there was the son who's probably, I don't know, about our age, Dan, like late 30s ish. He's smooth talker, doing all stuff. He's into cryptos, all these things. I believe he's a smart dude. He walks around the thing. He like definitely knows his stuff. And then there's the dad. You know, we've been trying to get them to invest money with us, and dad's like, I just don't understand how you can make money by doing nothing. Right. And he's like, so if I give you money, he's like, if I give you money, how am I getting money back? It doesn't make any sense. You know, and this dude's like in his 60s. And I'm like, that is the generational difference in a nutshell in this boardroom that we're in right now.
Right.
You know, and he was so skeptical. He's like, yeah, you're going to pay me 12% or whatever. It's like, that just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why you would do that or how that would work.
Is this a scam?
Is this a scam? Yeah.
Yeah, no, but yeah, you're right. It's a great generational wealth. It's like you got to work you got to work to your bone to make this money, and the only way to and as an entrepreneur, I wouldn't classify this as like a generational thing, but for sure as an entrepreneur who's only been an entrepreneur or who started their own business, where it's like this is where, and we're like this, right? This is where I'm investing most of my capital is my own business because I'm investing myself, and that's like an entrepreneurial thing. Yeah, and then you have the son who's just like tons of energy, obviously clearly smart and like taking the business to the next level, but then has like these ideas of different ways to make money. And it's just more information at a younger age too, I think has helped in a good way and an incredibly bad way. Cause you have all these dumbasses who are buying these businesses back full circle.
Well, some of them are doomed to fail from the start, but some of it is also like things are kind of turning now, in my opinion, economy wise, you know, real estate market, equity wise. So like, you know, it is harder now, but like, yeah, some of them were doomed to fail no matter what. But maybe if they had an up market, they could have turned things around.
Yeah. It's like telling like the chubby fat kid that they're going to be the best athlete ever on the team. And you're like, they're going to fail. There's no way. Like how is the chubby short fat kid going to be the star on the basketball team? It's just not going to happen.
Hey, but you know what? His parents wanted to pay the $17,000 for him to be on the team. So you're going to take his money and you're going to say, you got it, Timmy. You can do it.
Got the name over the gym.
You can come and join my small business mastermind for $15,000 and I'll teach you how to buy small business. Don't worry. I'm sure you'll be successful like everyone else.
You know what? At the end of the day, at least you'll have a good cringy Facebook post about how you tried and failed and the world is stomping on you and it's not your fault.
Oh, dude. And the worst thing about that is that this is so prevalent right now in like every sort of entrepreneurial group we're in, and everyone goes in and it's like, thank you for being so vulnerable, man. Like you really worked so hard. Totally. I think it's great for people to share when they have issues, but also not if you have issues every quarter. that you're sharing.
Right. Like every month you get a new issue.
Yeah, like if it's one time, if like people thought you were like a rock star and you're like, actually, I'm coming out with this. I've really fucked up. That's gracious. I think that's awesome. But it's like, man, I'm still dealing with this. I started dealing with this.
There's
back
a trend
in
here, bro. Like,
quarterly report came back out and still losing money every month.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when someone gets divorced for the 5th time, it's like, okay, you know what? I think you're kind of an asshole.
You might be the problem.
You might be the problem here, dude. Seriously.
God, that's hilarious.
So I would say for me personally, is we've been doing pretty well, you know, and even before we still back at home buyers, like it was going fine. Like we weren't ripping like we were years ago, but it was still profitable. And then our lending business is going very well. I personally have enjoyed this economy because there's so many people, and like not even just like in our own microsphere, but you look at like the big picture, a lot of like the gurus and stuff that were out there that have been exposed as being actually really terrible entrepreneurs who just were riding the economy, right? That just owned assets, inflated their net worths. Now they're unable to cash in on it because their properties aren't selling. You know, they're underwater on their debts, all these different things. And I'm not necessarily cheering for that, but what I have appreciated is it has really shown like who was actually creating value, who was learning to run business, who was being a good operator, and who was all smoke and mirrors. And it's become more apparent, I feel like, in the last like 2 months than ever before, honestly.
Everyone's a genius in a bull market, right?
Totally, dude. And and the funny thing is you always hear that, but you don't really know who the geniuses are and who's gotten exposed until the bubble pops.
It is hard. You're absolutely right. You have suspicions. We've always had suspicions on some of these guys, but you don't know.
Here's a good thing to say. Go ahead, Mike. I'll finish.
No. Finish it off, and then I'll.
I was going to say, like, in this Go Abundance discussion yesterday, a lot of the talk was, 2025 reflection, then going into next year. And mine was, I'd be happy to do what I did this year, next year. It's not even like a growth goal. It's like, because I see the way that things are, I'm like, I will be happy if I just repeat it. And I know going into, I guess, times like this where it is a lot slower, I have to be a better operator and owner and leader now just to do the same shit. And like that, that kind of goes hand in hand with what you were saying, in my opinion, that some people won't be able to make that transition and then they'll stop being in business.
And that's the way the world works, right? And like you said, Dan, there's a lot of people that we had suspicions about. Is there anybody that comes off the top of your head that we thought was, and Dan, you can participate in this too, that we thought was completely full of it that actually has surprised us? Like big names. Is there any like that you were certain to call out?
Let me say this. One guy that I have not seen, and I don't believe it yet, that I have not seen completely fall from grace yet, is Chris Krohn.
I didn't know that.
Did he ever have grace to begin with?
But you know what I mean? Like no.
That's the worst example.
No, it's not. Listen to this though. Like that guy obviously is a big media personality, portrays, and like I said, I don't believe this at all. I'm just saying from the visuals, like there's been like public knowledge, but like Pace Morby, like that's come out like huge. Brandon Turner's come out and said his syndications aren't doing as well as they'd hoped, and there's a lot of these guys.
Ty Lopez.
Ty Lopez. I mean, huge names, right? Where he's just kind of still out there as a grifter, and he's still like putting on this show and like doing his thing, and nobody's talking about it. And it's partially because he's not that important, but like at the same time, I mean, I don't see him go to jail anytime soon.
Well, the only reason I would disagree with that for my question is because I think we've called his bullshit. And I mean, I guess, has he surprised you? I think he's just doing the same thing.
Okay. I should say, I guess, surprised me in a way of like, oh, he's actually doing a good thing. Of course. But what I guess surprising in the way that he hasn't completely shut off his Instagram account because he got caught on a list of like child predators or like completely went bankrupt and got caught doing something illegal. Like that part is surprising to me.
For sure. Yeah, he hasn't completely collapsed yet. Yeah, I don't think there's anyone where we were certain that they were doing like janky stuff that it turns out that they weren't and everything was actually legit. Like if we suspected that years ago, they're either still kind of riding that line or they've completely collapsed at this point.
Yeah.
It's the same people that are like, they're buying that house for that. And I bid 30 grand under that. Like, it's the same thing. It just takes time.
Yeah, the best part about it is when you see those things like right in person and then you talk to somebody else like, oh man, I heard that dude's just killing it out there. And you're like, how is he killing it? You know what I mean? You're like, that doesn't make any sense. And then eventually it doesn't make sense.
You just triggered a memory for me. I was at a meetup in like late 2023 or early 2024, and I had a business partner, and the business partner is talking to this guy, and he's like, he basically said the same thing about me. He's like, oh, you better watch out for Dylan. He's buying too much too quick. And I was like, I took that as I think I know what I'm doing, and I'm still here. So
there you go.
That's your new nickname, Dylan. Too much too quick.
Well, I think though. So, and here's where you've been very, very smart, and there's a lot of other people that I think have been dynamic enough to do this. Is you weren't buying for the sake of buying.
Yeah.
Right. You always had multiple exit strategies. You had a high revenue capability, right?
Yeah.
Through the wholesaling, the flips, other things. You have had a strong cash position, at least as long as I've known you. You have. And those are the things that people tend to ignore.
Yeah.
Right. As they get
Not
over
just unit
leveraged.
count.
They're focused on unit count. They're like, well, I got to buy every duplex, because the thing is, everyone that bought a bunch of properties in 2008, they're like so rich now. And so everyone that I am not keeping today is less money that I'm going to have in 10 years, and that's only true if things go up. But what we don't know
is you'd have more houses if you flipped or wholesaled a couple than if you've kept everything.
Absolutely, dude. Totally. And you generated money and you bought better stuff and you bought at better discounts. Like your net worth would be so much higher. And that's because we used to get that too. I mean, if you go back to 21, Dan and I, we were buying like a house almost every week, and we would keep like half of them. But we were like super, super high transaction of stuff that we were actually closing on. Like I remember one time going to, we were working with Lacey at that point, Dan, going to her office, and Lacey was like, what the hell are you guys doing? And I go in there and she literally has 7 closing packs I have to sign that day. Right.
Wild.
It was just stupid. Right. And
I bet of the people who have been in the industry for 10 plus years are like, these guys are doomed, right? Like,
totally.
Right.
That's probably what they thought. Yeah.
But the difference is, a lot of them are transactional. We're generating a very high income off of the wholesaling. And we've had several deals that have since gone bad that we still own that would have crushed us if all we did was stretch ourselves thin to buy more properties. We'd be fucked at this point.
Yeah.
Right. But we have enough money that we can just kind of like deal with it, fix the house that's leaked, that's flooded 4 times. Like that's part of it. We were able to bail ourselves out of our sub 2s that got called, come up with $800,000 and figure that shit out instead of us going to foreclosure and them suing us and making us sell all of our stuff. Like we've had our fair share of opportunities to fail, but because we had generated a lot of cash and we had a high income, we were able to deal with it.
That was the lesson from the guy yesterday too, because he also like deals in mobile home parks, and he says he does he's an acquisition guy for his partners on mobile. I literally raised my hand. I was like, bro, get on the phone, find a mobile home park, wholesale it, make $200,000 to $300,000, and then that'll solve a lot of problems. Revenue solves problems for almost everybody.
Totally.
Yep.
So
and there's a huge difference between revenue and equity and net worth, right? And people don't understand that, especially in the real estate space. I think it's because people focus on the wrong things,
right.
And the problem is too, it's not even their fault. The problem is the idols that taught them about that, they just focus on what they focus on. Like they go and talk about like, oh, here's how rich I am. Here's what my cash flow is. Like, when was the last time you heard Brandon Turner talk about legitimately revenue that he's making? Been a long time. I don't know if I've ever heard him talk about that, except for when he was on, was it Ryan Pineda's? And he talked about how he made $1 million in a weekend when he launched Better Life.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. But that's the only time he's ever talked about actually making money that wasn't like long-term wealth, sort of like sell the dream focus.
I think he still gets money from his books and stuff, but like that's all.
Sure.
Like we never know what that is, or we'll know what that is. But
I can't imagine it's a ton. I mean, who reads books? Nerds.
Yeah. I mean, us years ago. So
yeah, that's true. Back before I had TikTok, bro. I just read the books in 60 seconds on TikTok now.
Yeah, I think like to help round out some of that too is all the Instagram people still are like, real estate's great, business is great, do all this stuff, take the risk, bet on yourself. When in reality, from all of our circles, the general consensus is it's bad for a lot of people right now.
Oh, yeah.
We know how many wholesale shops that have closed up, even within scale. Like some of that's personal, some of that's business. And I don't know. I guess if you're an audience member and you're thinking about like, should you do this or not? Or if you just started and it's still hard, I will say like it is hard, but if you can come through the hard part, like with the systems and still make it through, whenever we get to that next turning point, like you're going to be a better position than everybody else.
Totally. Yeah. And that's the thing that sucks is, you need to be willing to eat shit for like 5 years to get to that phase. But there's no way around that, in small business. And that exists in all economies too, whether it's through like a learning process or anything. But just when the times are down, it just feels incrementally worse. Yep. So anyways, anything else, guys? We wrap up here?
It's 34 minutes. We
could wrap up that rant. That was a good weekly rant. I just want to say that books in 30 seconds. Was it books in 60 seconds? Sounds like your porn browsing history. Sorry, I was holding on to that.
60 seconds. You're very generous, honestly. You're overstating by a lot there. But I do like it's a good idea for like a TikTok though. Is like a TikTok channel. I don't TikTok.
Should we use this platform to pitch our new messaging app that we came up with in Vegas?
I think that's a great idea. So here's our idea that we had when we were in Vegas, Dylan. So
how many drinks were you in when you came?
Zero. I think we were sober. We just got off. We were in the train at the Las Vegas airport.
Yeah, we were, weren't we?
Yeah. So we were gonna call it Sir Bets a lot. And basically what it is so like you're sitting around watching like the sports game with your friends and you can say, hey guys, I bet you guys $5 that LeBron makes his next 3-pointer. And you can basically enter it into the app and then everyone like in your group friends can press the button. They all bet $5. Mm-hmm. And then if he makes the shot, then basically you decide.
It like basically holds it in escrow and like
holds it like it becomes the bookie and it kind of holds it and you can either choose to participate and we could even make it like put odds in it and everything.
I feel like there's regulations around this, but it's a genius idea.
But you're just doing it amongst your group of friends or like amongst all the strangers in the random bar that you're in Chiang Mai, Thailand.
It'd be like a Venmo thing, right? Like you just you put it there. Yeah.
Yeah, you just put in like $100 and I think that's a great idea.
I think, I'm going to pitch this to Elon because he owns a messaging app. I think I can get him to, do that. And so I don't know.
Yeah. Pitch it. Yeah. I feel like a Venmo sort of interface. You can do whatever. You can be like, I'm going to bet $10 that I can get Dylan to go and steal a French fry off that girl's plate.
Right. Seriously. Anything. You can really place any bet you want.
Yeah. Then you put like a timer on it. Everyone gets a notification. It's like, you got 2 minutes to enter this bet. Yep. Right. And then you're like looking at your buddies and they're like, going. And then you like, it sounds sweet.
With my friends, what I would imagine is like you're passed out or whatever, and your friend grabs your phone, but some random bet with himself that he's automatically going to win like $1,000.
Right.
Well, I'm not friends with criminals, Dylan. Yeah. So
hey, we'll have 2-factor authentication. You're gonna have Face ID. I mean, all the security layers will get added later, but we got to get this off the ground first. And now, if anybody sees this out there publicly, you heard it here first, and they still
Well, and if anyone wants to come and build this for us for a 20% stake in our idea, go ahead and hit me up on Instagram at Mike_invest. I'd love to talk to you.
This would be such a great messaging app.
Why do you keep saying a messaging app? How is it messaging?
Because it's a group text. That's how it all is, right? Because you say stupid shit in your fun group text. That's all this is. It's just a fun group text, but you just
you need a better interface. I think it'd be like Venmo, where basically you get a push notification that Dylan has just created odds on this situation, and then everyone has to decide if they're going to participate in it or not.
But you have to be able to talk shit to each other, so there has to be a messaging component.
Yeah, well, you do it like a Snapchat where you have to communicate through like little videos that you go and like send to each other.
I'm down with some short videos.
Yeah. I can only imagine like Dan's group chat with like his military buddies, or even you, like flying the wall. And that
there's
shit.
some pretty wild shit.
Mine's pretty tame. Sometimes depends. But.
Well, I mean, we do say some fucked up shit.
Anyways, if you want to hang out with me, Dylan, and Dan, and a bunch of other awesome investors, go to collectingkeys.com and join our free scale community. It's right there on the homepage. You can click join. It's free. You can come and hang out with us in Slack, ask questions, talk shit to Dylan, or maybe, beg Dan to help you on something and he'll tell you no. But I will because I'm a nice guy.
Don't even say that. I'm more helpful than you.
Sometimes. We'd love to see you guys over there. So just go to collectingkeys.com, check that out. Besides that, guys, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
See ya.